Get yourself a book and a pen because I'm about to share some important information with you in this video. Before then, while you get yourself a book and a pen, I'm gonna go get myself some juice. It is currently 3 a.m. in the morning. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 5 solid tips to help you properly prepare for F1 visa interview. I must mention the fact that I am not a visa expert. I only share my experience based on, I only share things based on my experience after appearing for the F1 visa interview myself. And based on my conversations with friends that are also here, that have gone through the process, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I think might help you prepare adequately for your visa interview. Now, one of the things that people rarely talk about is the aspect of things that happen before the interview. People say, oh, even myself, I've mentioned in several videos, I say things like be confident during the interview, speak boldly, know your stuff in and out. Yes, all of that, they are like crucial things that you should do, that any serious person that coming down here for education should have done. Like, they are no-brainers. These are things that you should have thought about. These are things that you should have mastered as far as interview is concerned. Now, there are things that you should have done before that very interview day, and some of these things are what I intend to shed more light on in this video. The first thing that is less talked about is the completion of DS-160 form. See, this form is basically the way for the embassy to get to know you as an applicant even before you appear for your interview. So you're expected to pay your service fees, submit your complete your DS-160 form online and submit the form, and you also need to have a printed version of this form when you appear for your interview. One of the things that usually end up as a bad signal for people during visa interview is the fact that they did not complete their DS-160 themselves. So when the visa officer asks them a very simple question from the form, they say something very, very different, and that's a red signal, because they do know that there are so many fake travel agents in Nigeria that would charge people and not do their job properly, and they are always trying to discourage people from patronizing travel agents like that. They are very good travel agents, do not misquote me, but there are also bad ones as well. So when you cannot answer those questions correctly, it's an indication that you probably did not fill out the form yourself. You probably don't even know much about the program that you said you're going to study in the United States. So that's a huge red flag. All of that to point to the fact that you should do your very possible best to complete your DS-160 form yourself. Know every single details on that form in and out. Every single thing that you list on that form should be genuinely accurate in your head. Like, if somebody wakes you up in the middle of the night, know what's on the form, from your address to the name of the school that you went to the course of study, to your date of birth, every single thing. It sounds simple, but these are things that can negatively impact your visa application process if you don't get those information right. So that's the first thing. Fill out your DS-160 correctly and know every single details on the DS-160. Now, the second thing I would like to talk about is gathering your document weeks or days before your interview. there are chances that when you appear for the interview, they would not even ask you for any document. But as far as the interview is concerned, documents are fair game. You can be asked for literally anything, even though you're not informed to bring them specifically. So what that means is that you would not be wrong by printing out your GRE score. You would not be wrong by going with a duplicate or a copy of your NYSC discharge certificate. You would not be wrong by going with your undergrad certificate or WAEC certificate or whatever it is. You would not be wrong by going with a detailed statement of accounts. So these things you should plan ahead of time and have them properly arranged before you appear for your interview. Don't just go there with the barest minimum. So think of it this way. Visa interview is like a case, like a court case that you're trying to win. I say a court case because the more genuine you appear, the more genuine your case appears to the judge, the higher your chances of getting vindicated, something like that. It's like appearing before a jury, right? If you're able to convince the jury that you did not commit a crime, even if you committed the crime, the jury might forgive you, or they might be confused or convinced that you did not commit a crime. So what that means is that you want to present as much evidence as possible. It is better for you to appear there with all the evidence to support your studentship and not be asked for any of them than to appear and then you have nothing to show when they ask you. So what I'm trying to say to you is that make sure that you have all your documents arranged. After sorting out your documents, filling out your DS-160 yourself, sorting out your document, the next thing you want to focus on is to research questions and possible answers. So at some point in time, I would probably make a video about ideal answer to some common interview questions for US F1 visa. But there are so many videos on YouTube for now. There are like tons of videos. If you just Google search common F1 visa interview questions, you're going to see some of these questions and possible answers on YouTube, everywhere, all over the internet. Spend time watching those videos. It will give you an idea of how some questions will be structured and how you can respond to those questions in a very concise manner that would not only satisfy the visa officer curiosity, but will also re-emphasize your position as a student. You have to answer those questions strategically, and the best way to get ahead of that is by knowing what those possible questions are, coming up with a personalized response to those questions. So I said personalized question because you should imagine the fact that visa officers, they attend to hundreds of people every day. So if you check YouTube, if you watch my videos, for example, to get ready for your F1 visa interview, there are high chances that another person must have seen that video. There are high tendencies that the same person will appear in the same embassy before the same visa officer like you. So imagine seeing exactly what I've said and the other person also comes in and says exactly the same thing. That's not good, right? So when you watch those videos, your aim is to think about how the response to the possible questions have been structured and then come up with a personalized response that also answer the question in a personal way for you. Take for instance, you are being asked, why do you choose this school? The video that you watch might say, oh, I chose this school because they have quality research faculty in my field or something like that. That is not a bad response, but you have to be able to personalize the response in a way that it answers the question as it pertains to you. So for instance, if somebody were to ask me, why did you choose Georgia State University as against other schools? Well, my response would be, number one, GSU is in Atlanta. Atlanta is very, very close to CDC. CDC is Center for Disease Control. I hope I got the acronym right. But Center for Disease Control in America. and I'm studying biological science. There are no better ways to tie in the location of the school with your course of study. You see that that's very personal to me. It's personal to the city in which my school is, it's personal to my course of study, and it's personal to my career projection. Still the same question, different answer, but much more personal for my reason, okay? So think about it like that. Another thing that you can do to help you prepare for your F1 visa interview is by having a mock interview with family and friend. Now, this is grossly underrated, but you will be surprised about how confident you can become when you practice something over and over again, because every time you make a mistake, you learn to not make the same mistake again. Your brain literally take caution when it gets to that area. So what that means is that once you're able to draft out the possible questions and what your answer will be, if you've not seen my previous video about things that you should not do during US visa interview, you should try and watch that video, because I laid emphasis on the fact that you don't have to cram your answers. What you need to do is focus on what your end goal is. So once you have a list of possible questions and you've drafted out your possible answers, okay, you just need to remember what the point of your answer is. You don't have to say, thank you very much for that question, blah, 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 blah. No. You need to just figure out what the possible answer for, what the accurate answer for your question is, the end point of that answer. So once you're able to do that on a book, you want to get a family member or a friend and just go through all of that together. Like, you make them act like the visa officer. They ask you questions and then you respond to those questions. You just freestyle your way, and your goal is to make sure that by the time you're done talking, you must have mentioned your answer, get to the point of your answer before you're done talking. So the good thing about that is that if you do it several times, let's say if you did four times or 6 times, by the time you open your mouth during the actual interview, it becomes easy for you to talk. You have the confidence because you're not scared. This is something that you've done before, okay, with your friend, with your family member. So it makes things easy a little bit. Mock interview is very, very important. Do your best to at least get 1 or 2 dry runs. The last thing I would like to talk about is a very simple detail, but it is also very, very important. It is staying close to the embassy before the day of your interview. So I did my visa interview in Lagos because Lagos is way closer to me. The Highland is closer to me, basically. So I did my interview in Lagos. And if you've been to the US Embassy in Nigeria before, you would know that it is always very crowded, no matter the time of the day, morning, night, evening, always very, very crowded. So you don't want to get there and not be organized. You don't want to get there and start stressing about, oh, which line should I join or whatever. So imagine coming from mainland and then getting stuck on Third Mainland Bridge, and your interview is by 2 p.m. and you get there around 1 p.m. You're stressed and tired already. That's not so good. So what you should do is spare some like $5,000 or $6,000, get a very cheap hotel. There are a couple of them on the Highland, a safe one of course. Get a cheap hotel and lodge there until you appear for your interview. That's what I did. I mean, you've spent so much money up to this point. Spending extra $5,000 or $6,000 would not kill you. It would only help your chances, because by the time you appear for your interview, you're calm, you're not stressed. Okay, that is very, very important. You're in the right state of mind. You're not tired, you don't look exhausted and all of that. So if you can do that, that's going to help you. Look for hotels that are very close to the embassy and just lodge there and appear for an interview, and that's it. So those are the tips that I have for you on how to prepare for F1 visa. Just to recap, I said fill out your DS-160 by yourself. Make sure you know the details in and out. I said arrange for a mock interview with your family and friends. Do like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times, just to build your confidence and also to train your tongue or your mouth or your brain to say the right thing at the right time. I said research for possible questions on the internet and also draw out a personalized response for those possible questions. I also said you should try your very possible best to stay close to the embassy before your interview. That way you are not overly stressed on the day of the interview. I said you should try your best to gather documents that you would need on the interview day. I said earlier on that it's better that you're overly prepared than not well prepared. So that's all I have for you. I know this video is gonna serve you very well if you're preparing for your interview. If you like the content of the video, it will mean so much to me if you can like the video and share the video and drop a comment if you have any specific question, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.